with, saying basically this is his quote: all objects illuminated by the sun will send their images through this aperture and will appear upside down on the wall facing the hole. So this device was originally conceived for astronomical observation, but was quickly repurposed by artists as a drawing aid. And what I thought was interesting about that is then we kind of all know what happened with the camera obscura, which was that, I'm sorry if I say things the wrong way. Remember, I grew up with not saying things the right way. The camera obscura then became the very beginning of photography, which of course becomes the very beginning of film, and it becomes the very beginning of this. I would say the idea of seeing images moving past your face at such a speed that the illusion of movement is created and can be observed, which quickly becomes most media. I'm not saying that artists are responsible, but I'm saying that perhaps misusing these kind of mechanics to suit artists' terms, that has contributed greatly. And then the other one is the development of the printing press. Of course, it was developed to share communication, share writing, that sort of thing. But artists then began experimenting with the intaglio processes and with using dampened paper pressed against the plate, and then we have another appropriated piece of machinery, not necessarily meant for that. Of course, we have photograms and a cameraless photography that was developed by this guy named Thomas Wedgwood from around 1800. And this was another artist that was figuring out ways to use something in a way that I don't think would make sense in any other context than art. And then I think, of course, Edward Muybridge, Muybridge wasn't necessarily an artist at all. I mean, he didn't consider himself that. He considered himself, someone that was kind of looking after a scientific study and then an ability to capture things. There's a graphic comic book about Edward Muybridge, or Muybridge. This is the way my dad says it. He's British, but and I read it, and it was amazing because Muybridge was a photographer and quickly started to hate photography, and was really disconnected with photography, particularly after having to constantly take pictures of people just to make money. So he sounded a little bit like an artist to me. But rapidly, we also have somebody the Dadaists that used newspapers and made collages, definitely using things that were not meant to be used for art as art, which I think of as technical as misusing technology. There's a little fine line between what is misusing technology and what is misusing materials, or why would we even call it misusing? I don't know. I go back and forth. And then we have artists that start to misuse stuff like TVs, and I ran up, I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. This is Lucio Fontana's television manifesto. So Fontana, the guy that makes the slit paintings, he went on air and delivered a manifesto about how television should be a means for art. And there's a whole television manifesto of the spatial movement. And he had a whole group called the Spatialists, and they said, we spatialists are using television to transmit our new forms of art based on the concepts of space, to be understood from 2 points of view. The first concerns spaces that were once considered mysterious but that are now known and explored, and that we therefore use as plastic material. The second concerns the still unknown spaces of the cosmos, spaces to which we address ourselves as data of intuition and mystery, the typical data of art as divination. For us, television is a means that we have been waiting for to give completeness to our concepts. We are happy that this spatial manifestation of ours is being transmitted from Italy, a manifestation destined to renew the fields of art. It is true that art is eternal, but it was always tied down to matter, whereas we want it to be freed from matter. Through space, we want it to be able to last a millennium, even for a transmission of only a minute. It's really incredible. This was broadcast from Milan in 1952, and was written by Lucio Fontana. I absolutely love that. They're like, we are taking over, this now is for artists. Here's a couple of, then most of them, the other ones, we kind of, I'm going to stop. This is a whole article. I'm going to share this as well, but this is a whole article about arts versus TV and about artists using TV. This is another one that is about creative misuse, where they're actually using the term misuse. And this is about Vera Molnar, and who just died a couple years ago. And this person that wrote about Vera said that what she calls the creative misuse of technology is artists experimenting with technology that they maybe don't fully understand and using it for something that it wasn't intended for initially. So that is her definition of creative misuse. And then, of course, this is a couple pictures of Molnar making her artwork. This is much later than when she first began. When she first began, she couldn't even see what her work would look like for several days. This is her before she died at, I think it was, somebody can jump in, 99 or 98. And one of her images. So I think I'm going to stop about there. The other one I wanted to show you guys is that I went to Korea, and I saw a lot of works that I wasn't aware of. Of course, like I saw a lot of Nam June Paik, which is definitely somebody who misused technology. And multiple technologies, right? So misusing a technology of like a violin, or a cello, and then misusing the TV on top of it. But there was also, I'm going to go by the starred ones. Sorry. Let me just sort by starred ones. I have to remember. Come on, starred, modified, source. Never can get this. I wanted to point out this. I'll just pick out this one. I know where it is. It's right about here. So I'll turn this down really quickly, but this guy right here is another Korean artist, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's like, there was a bunch of people that were around Nam June Paik but never left for the United States and just stayed in Seoul mainly. And this was one of these artists, and he's very old now. There are a lot of them that were in their 90s, and he was talking about this series of artworks that he recently completed during COVID And I'm just going to play it, and then I'll tell you what he said. And maybe you can try to figure out how he's explaining what's behind him.
네네네. So what he tried to say is like whenever he print out, he touch again. So each print is unique. Yeah.
앱을 통해서 하는 예술 방법이다.
So during the pandemic, he was really locked and he wanted to still make art. So he came up with this idea.
인화기의 인화함이라고 합니다.
So this is like a second edition of printing that digital work for this exhibition. Yeah.
이 작품을 하루의 장소는 화장실이다.
He made this in the toilet. Every day. Yeah. But we can imagine, a lot of things, right?
Did anybody sort of get what that was behind him?
As a Korean-speaking person, this is Laura. Hi.
Oh, okay.
I'm hard. I don't really actually understand because it was like, I think the video was a little muddled.
Yeah.
But based on.
Oh no! I can't hear you anymore. Why can't I hear you? Can everybody else hear?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Laura just suddenly stopped.
Loud. I can hear Laura, but I can hear you, Ariel and Cha.
She has like that little what do you call it? Instead of a green check mark, she has kind of a orange thing next to that. I'll just tell you.
Oh yeah, that's a connection issue, right?
Yeah. Yes, it looks like it. Okay, so I'll say it like a connection issue. Yeah. She just came back in. Okay.
So hard. Yeah. Somehow I can.
Yeah, it said you had a connection issue, but you literally were just about to say what you thought it was.
Oh yeah, I just was like yeah, I just felt like it was yeah, I want to hear more about it. I want to talk to you more about it in person, actually.
Oh yeah, do you
So,
recognize this artist? I mean, I'll dig for it in my sketchbook, but do you recognize who this is? Here's another one of him.
No, not really. Yeah, so I was like trying to figure out, but I can't really. I'm not really, but I have. There's an artist who does more painterly and like pattern, like tiles type work, but I don't think the person that I'm looking at. So.
Well,
yeah.
This piece behind him is one that he's really, really well known for. So this is the piece that if you screenshot and then just ran it through Google, we could figure it out. But anyway, that piece that he's talking about, I'm going to start this again. So he's doing that because this is, what he did was that he would, every single day he would use this app on his phone where he would essentially poop and then take a picture of his poop and then draw and like change the values on his phone app.
That's great.
Yeah, so the app was probably made for I mean, I don't think that it was necessarily made for like art, actually. I forgot what type of app it was, but it was some sort of like game or something like that, and he was using it to take pictures of his poop in the toilet. And that's my husband right there, who's like, what in the world are these artists?
But also, why not?
Yeah, he's like, I think you'll like this one. No, he liked it. But yeah, there was a lot of work in Korea that I saw that would like, match this sort of misuse of different types of technology to make artwork. So there's another one that I thought was really great, and Laura, you might be able to also tell me this one, or maybe not, where we went to this museum show. There's also like 1 million museums. I've never seen so many museums in a city as Seoul, South Korea. It was just incredible how many museums they had. And of course, I'm looking for this. There it is. So there was an artist who would teach like inanimate objects things. So in this one, he's teaching inanimate objects, like giving them schooling and all sorts of different subject matters for school. And I think this one is like physics. So he's teaching all of these objects. Here's the zoom in. No, actually, this is like Greek and something to do with like Greek. It's a Hippocratic, Homo habilis, things like that, and it's paired with somebody over here on the TV who is their tutor. So he's teaching all.
Oh,
of these
I know.
boys.
Yeah, Kim Bum. He's a great artist, and also a friend of my mom. He's a great artist. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Amazing. Yeah.
they really did a lot of like a lot of amazing pieces.
I'm gonna share this link for maybe Ariel. You could, but also they at MMCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Korea, has an amazing residency that is super open to all international artists and everybody who think they're really interested in more so new media, which all the space that you're all in, but I'll just in the space here.
Yeah, and so that's just like a little bit of like really quick sort of fast stuff in the background, but I wanted to also show you guys how I've been playing around with using some of these AIs in a way that I don't think they're entirely, intended for. A lot of the AIs, especially the commercial ones, you can use them to make work that is they're kind of trying to make you buy the software program, obviously. So they're trying to predict what you want out of them. So that's one of the reasons why it's so often you'll get like sexy women whenever you put in something like a woman, so a woman doing this or a woman doing that. You constantly get this like ridiculous type of sexy woman. And so for a lot of my artwork lately, I've been sort of messing around with exposing this, and you probably have seen it like on my Vimeo, or I'm going to bring up my website really quickly. It's probably the best way to show it, but this is a piece that's on my website, and it's me trying to recreate a previous piece of artwork. If you were there on Thursday when we were all putting up the show, you know that I've been trying to like recreate all of my artwork that I've made since I became an artist, or at least after grad school. And so I'm using like a many different types of AI models and software, and I'm just putting in images, but also text describing exactly what's happening in the videos. So this one is a recreation of a piece I did where I rolled down tall hills, and I was wearing all white so you could distinguish me. So it was kind of like when I was doing that, I was just doing this kind of like video art piece, kind of like earth art kind of thing. The original was, I think, probably a little, it was silly and serious, but when you translate it into these commercial AIs, what happens is you almost always get like these gorgeous white women, usually sexualized, and it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition. This one's probably one of the ones that's even more so, putting in the exact prompt of what I'm doing in the original one, and then just stitching them together. And I also like to use the exact same prompt in multiple different AIs. But as you can see, a lot of them, there's absolutely no indication of like nudity or anything. So that's what I was doing for a while, and sort of just letting them, you know, show themselves to be like, you know, whatever the original intention of the training data was. And then I stumbled upon this really weird thing that was happening where in Kriya, so here is Kriya. So Kriya Real Time is the name of the AI. So it's like, it's got tons and tons and tons of things that you can do on Kriya. So it's Kriya.ai, and I'll just put that in here. And they're not the first ones to do it, but some of these AI ones now have something called real time, where you can actually see the AI working. So I'm gonna just turn on this, and then this is the canvas, like this is the blank canvas, and I can just get rid of this. And then this over here is the AI's version of this. So if I put in, I have a prompt. I'm right now working on recreating this piece right here, which is me rolling down the stairs over and over and again inside of this white thing. Something I made in, like, I don't know, 2012, 2013. So I have a prompt, and I always do this. I always make sure that my prompts are all easily taken care of, so that way I can, like, okay, we'll just take this portion, something that, it says a woman wrapped in a large white sheet tumbling playfully down a modern indoor staircase. You have to put playfully there, because if you don't, it'll actually block you, because it thinks that you're doing something that's violent. Oftentimes, if you replace the word woman with man, it'll let it go through. So if you ever get blocked on one of these AIs and you're using the word woman, you can just try it with man and see if it'll let you, which is really fucked up. Okay. And then I can just start drawing. And I've put the AI strength, which is right here, all the way down to almost nothing. So very, very little. And you can pick out, well, in a second I'll pick out the AI. The AI model is over here. So right now these are like just a few different models. And if you have any questions or you want me to like explain something that I'm going too fast about, let me know. Even if it's like a really silly question, it's not silly, because I've usually have had to ask somebody else the same question. This is all pretty new. Okay, I'm actually going to use my, I think I have my, there we go. So I'm just going to try to copy, and I could also maybe, there we go, try to copy what this looks like. So this is me on top of the stairs, and then I come rolling down here. You'll see how I'm misusing this in a second. So here is the top of the stairs, and you can erase over here. Has anyone ever used one of these real-time ones before? No? They're pretty crazy. They're very limited, but there's like, I think they're pretty new. Okay. Give myself a little bit there. So then I'm going to try to put like this sort of lump. This is me at the top of the stairs. And this is going to be the, go go over here to check what that looks like. Okay. I'm gonna go like this. Doesn't have to be like perfect. This has to be kind of cartoony enough that it understands what you're trying to make. Okay, so here's all the paper. It's another staircase. Just enough so that it looks kind of like the thing that you're making. All right. I'll put this up here. This is like the okay, so now I'm going to come over here, and you can also tell it like what type of aspect ratio you want. Grab this over here, and you can tell it which type of model. So I'm just going to keep it to this model, and then I'm going to slowly drag this AI strength over to the right, and you'll start to see it try to apply the text to the actual, to what I made. So it's going to try to slowly do it. It's very unpredictable. So you could actually like put this, you know, I might put the rest of this whole quote in here since it's kind of not getting it. So I'm going to put this whole thing in here. There we go. And start it off. Sorry, that's my my speaker. Okay. And just bringing it over to the right, and you'll start to see the AI do this, kind of trying to figure out what this is. Now, it's not doing like a great, sorry, I have this mouse that unfortunately, you hit the side of it and it doesn't ever work. But it's not doing a super great job about this one. I probably need to put some drawing. Oh, there we go. There we go. But it's kind of amazing because you can see how it's thinking in real time how to make you happy with its version of your of your prompt. Of course, you can also see the biases almost like immediately. These are all what, you know, appear to be white women, especially around this point. For some reason, they have dark hair. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's black and white. And they have this kind of sexy sort of look to them. So what I've been doing, oh yeah, and if you pull it all the way to the right, usually you get something that's really, really, really realistic over here. So what I've been doing is I've been doing recordings of this. So this one is my mom in her studio, and I've been recording all of these different changes and then trying to create this kind of narration or a different form of storytelling. And you can see like what happens when you have a whole bunch of information on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to start pulling it over. There we go. And I also have on this one, I have a couple of different other misuses. So if you see in the bottom of the text box, it says like this thing that says RA, and that is a LoRa that I've trained using Kriya that's based on my notebooks. So everything that's written in my notebooks. So I'm applying like this, which is why you see all these words popping up on top of the drawing. And I don't know, I'm just kind of fascinated. I don't know if you guys can see this, but how it starts to, like, there's the Union Jack was just on on that. Right there, you can see it. You can see the amazing things that are in the paintings behind her. And now I'm just pulling it backwards because every single time you use AI, it tries to recreate an entirely new image. So as it's like working, even if I start pulling it back or pulling it forward, it will try to, make something new. So it's pretty mind-boggling. And then this one was pretty good because the one said that it was just, I'm trying to find where the other one is. There was one that said it was just an older woman that was sitting there like not doing much. And then if you followed me, you might have seen on my Instagram the ones that were kind of over the top. Were these. So this one was just an innocent like painting of a paint rag. I mean, it was an abstracted kind of cartoony paint rag, but that's all it said. And the box was just like a paint rag. That's what the prompt was. But it gets really crazy really quickly as you pull up the AI slower and slower. I mean, it starts to get to very disturbing areas. And I'm used to a lot of like, kind of like, quote unquote disturbing AI, but some of these were really I would consider these almost like breaking the system a little bit. Like this. Like that. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is it like sort of surprising, or have you seen anything like this? There's another one. So that's how I'm kind of misusing this at the moment. I'm not sure what to do with it. I kind of like them, some of them as is. Some of them I'm like not entirely, I'm not sure. I've never been, it's kind of, I feel like it's pushing me into different places. I also feel like I'm like, I don't know, doing some sort of weird undercover work on society. Especially these that are just simply abstract. So, completely bizarre. Okay, so that's one thing I've found, and like I said, if you just go to Kriya, you can actually I'll put just something like a woman, right? I'll put a woman, and we'll see what we get, and maybe I'll just do something a little bit more, you can't really do anything too crazy, and a lot of times it's really, really, really buggy. So what you have to do a lot of times is refresh the whole page to get it to reset. And the other thing that you can do is come over here, and I'm going to put a style on it this time. So this is one of my styles I did that was just based off of my sketchbook. That's not what my sketchbook looks like, but this is examples that it makes of how you could use your Laura. But my Laura is just like my sketchbook pages. I haven't changed anything. So that's it. And so it's going to give it more of a sketchy book thing. And then I'm going to change the model this time to, let's see, something like HD. Sometimes the worst models will actually be the ones that have kind of like, have the gatekeeping, the safety checks sort of off. And I'll put something like red over here. I'm just putting like just silly things over around here. Try to put the, there we go, pink over here. All right, whatever. You can also bring up an image like this. So I could bring up this one of Carrie Ann, but I'm not going to because that would be making it too obviously sexual. I'm going to try to keep something just really not sexual, so I'm not going to give anything. And then I'm just going to start like dragging this AI strength lever over here. And if you don't see it move, it needs to be refreshed. That's what's going on. Come on. Yeah. So I'll have to refresh it again. Like I said, sometimes it's just for some reason gets a little glitchy. It might also be because I'm sharing it, but we'll see if we can do this. Try to refresh, and sometimes I just have to open it from the start. Okay, so just like click off of it and click back on. And see if that will help.
Ariel,
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that you are you are exploring this like kind of sexualization. I don't know if it's correct.
Not.
That word.
I mean, I don't know if it's. It's almost like you can't avoid it if you start working with anything. I mean, not anything, but there are a lot of stuff that if you want to use commercial AIs and it has to do with being female, it will sort of make it sexualized.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm interested in that phenomenon. Yeah.
Yeah. But for example, yesterday that you showed your piece,
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't like I read the title, but I didn't read I just read a short description of like a woman doing a performance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't know if you have a text that you share with the visual result, like explaining this interest that you have of like the AI and the woman with AI, because sometimes I'm thinking that if you don't explain it and you show your piece, it's like just like kind of reproducing that, the
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm fascinated by it. But yes, I definitely think I have to start doing writing next to it. But yeah. But do you see what just happened from this like abstract thing?
Yeah.
It went straight to this.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And if I change the model, like maybe I try as a photo, it's, to me, it's almost like this is just like I'm misusing it, but in a way it's so broken because it's taking this into this. You can literally see the thinking behind it in a weird way. And the more the AI has, the strength is up, the more the AI has control over it. The younger and the more nude she gets. The more for the male gaze. Now, if I take away this and I say a man, we can try to see what happens as well. but also very, very, very young. Look at that. And also a lot
Yeah.
of bondage. This is just says a man. So that's one thing. I don't know what to do with it, but I just wanted to point out some really weird, interesting stuff going on with real time and Kriya. There's also one for real time at Leonardo. So those are the two AIs that I know have this kind of thing. There might be more. So the other thing I was just going to point out is Meshy. If you use Meshy, this is me using Meshy to put in the same kind of prompt. And it's amazing. This is a text to 3D prompt of the same kind of phrase. And it comes up with these sorts of things. And this one's really beautiful, but actually I like this one much more because it's much more abstract. But these long prompts are not meant to be put into Meshy, but you can, and then you can come in here to Blender and have them created here in Blender and made. These are more kind of like what I would like to maybe make work about using or something like that, even though I kind of feel like the other ones are a little bit more edgy and a little bit more maybe the direction I want to be headed in, but it's kind of amazing. The other thing I'm just going to point out, in case anybody doesn't know about it, is that if you download Claude, you can connect it to your Blender account. So if you don't know how to do Blender, what you can do is you can download this extension called Blender MCP right here, and you can connect it to Claude using Blender MCP. It only works with Claude, and you do have to buy a professional, like I had to buy the professional one, which is I think like $25 a month or $20 a month. I just got rid of my ChatGPT and went over to Claude instead and started using Claude for all of my ChatGPT stuff and got rid of the ChatGPT one. And then what you can do is you can actually tell Claude to adjust something. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna click on this one so it knows that. I'm gonna say add a, let's see, dramatic, layered texture to the selected object that, looks like. And you can just add an image or whatever you want, and it will do the work for you. So it's kind of crazy. I'll just put in the screenshot I did of slime bubbles. I'm just doing this doesn't really matter, but just to show you guys that it can actually do this sort of stuff. And you can then start misusing it and playing around with it even more, which I've been doing, but I haven't really made anything cool yet. But you can actually see Claude executing all of this in Blender code, and it's going to create it. Dramatic underwater texture for the selected object that captures. Now, there's a lot of it's a little bit also kind of buggy. So you have to tell it to do things a few times, but you can have it create like basic compositions for you, like placing objects and stuff there. And so it's pretty incredible, and then you don't have to learn as much Blender as you might think you do anymore. Okay, so that's enough for me, and I wanted to just give it up to everybody else. If you want to share with us how you're misusing code and anything that you've discovered recently that can be maybe helpful to everybody else, so that they can misuse it with you. I'd love to see somebody else do the Kriya thing that maybe has a practice that's more explicitly interested in those things, but there you go. There we go. So now we have this one that matches slime bubbles, a screenshot that I took of slime bubbles work. And I didn't have to do anything to it. I didn't even have to touch Blender. So, all right. So who wants to go next? Or maybe wants to add on to the conversation and say, oh, there's another, oh, the other artists that have done stuff like this is like, of course, like Rosa Minkman has done a lot of stuff with misusing software. There's a ton of artists that have used glitches, of course. Cha uses glitches inside of Loop. There's another artist named Sebring Verstig that started scraping the internet long before AI. So if you just want to share your experience or share some artists, then go for it. All right. You have 11 people. Ilkner, Laura, Dennis.
I just wanted to say that I realized recently that it's really a privilege of an artist to be able to break things and misuse things. And it's something we take for granted, but I was building an installation for my master thesis, and contrary to what I used to do, I was not able to break or misuse anything. I had to actually kind of work more as a designer instead of artist, because I had specific goals and specific features that I wanted to build, and I wasn't able to play and let the chance, tell me what is happening or use some sort of happy accident, and it was very hard. So I think as artists, we're the ones who usually misuse the tools and can enjoy the breaking of stuff, and that's really cool.
Absolutely. But don't you think that people then will use that and be able to actually make the software even better once they see how artists might be misusing it?
Yes, I think so. I think it's a very important part of the process of inventing new stuff. Yes. So the artists come in and they misuse the software, and then they create a new ways of using it. Yes, absolutely. I think that's a process, artists are a very important part of that invention process.
Mm-hmm. Go for it. If anybody wants to, I'll be quiet and stop sharing, and someone else can share. Oh, the other thing I've done, I will say really quickly, is that I'm still working on this, and if anybody ever wants to work on it with me, is to use the Kriya thing to something that's actually more helpful, is to take screenshots of this, because you can actually just download the screenshot, and then you can create an animation using this. And I've been trying really hard to figure out how to do this and have something that is a good enough frame interpolator to create an animation situation where you could just add things to this side and then take a screenshot and then upscale it and add a frame interpolator to it to create a new way of animating. All right, I'm just gonna sit here and do this, so you guys can either watch me or somebody else can share.
I don't know if this apply, but maybe I don't know. I've been misusing Facebook. So I don't know if yeah.
Facebook deserves to be misused.
Yeah, how are you doing that?
And it was a couple of years ago, like when it was like less restricted. Like I was trying to, like I was giving the password of an anonymous account to everybody, you know, the password and the login info. So the idea was like to have many people, like a lot of people, like anonymous people inside one profile. So the idea was kind of the utopic idea was to have like 1 million users in one profile, you know, inside one profile. So yes, it's a simple way to kind of use in a different way a platform like Facebook want to have a lot of like profiles, you know, users, and if you use it, like if you have all the people inside one profile, is kind of you are going against Facebook in some point, or using in another way. So that is my. I don't know if it's related, but this is my experience with misusing a platform.
Do you consider your QR codes misuse? Where do your QR codes go to? I don't know if anybody's aware of. Carolina uses a lot of QR codes in her artwork.
Oh, maybe it's misusing. Yeah, or goes to like different art pieces of different artists. So the idea also is to have like, I don't know, in like you can have in one wall like also thousands of artists with a QR code, you know. So it can be a way of misusing.
Dennis, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna
No,
pause
sorry.
you.
Like mine is also not a quite misuse, but kind of stretching its use.
Yeah.
Where I use Gravity Sketch to make the one that I have in the area, the main area. It's like to work the spatial paintings.
Mm-hmm.
But when time came to exhibiting it, I used the software itself to show it because I felt like it needed to be seen in the environment that it was created. But the problem was that I couldn't hide the controllers. When you put it down, they kind of default into the center as like ghostly figures, even if you hide them away. So I had to adopt the composition to hide them, like to have a shape that would go over them. So that's like working with the limitation of the software that wasn't intended as an exhibition space, but then to use it as that.
Yeah. I know that, no, I think that's definitely, so you hide the controllers. How did you hide the controllers?
So when you put the controllers away somewhere, they default into the very center of the XY coordinates. So I had to somehow work around and design something like some sort of a three-dimensional form that would pass through where the controllers default to, so that you wouldn't see them. But that was because, like, you know, I was just like dipping my toes in that territory and I didn't know. So I was like, all right, I guess I will just change my design composition to make a form there so you don't see the controllers.
Oh, for sure. I know that Dennis does a lot of technical work. Dennis, have you found anything lately? Little hacks or ways to...
I don't know. It feels like it was eternity ago because for a year I was working on this one specific project, and that specific project didn't really allow me to break stuff and misuse stuff. So I had like for example, it was a physical installation. I do use a lot of digital stuff, but in this case, it was supposed to go A or B, and the misuse part would be if it sometimes gives you A, sometimes gives you both, sometimes doesn't give you any, and I couldn't use that. Unfortunately, it had to be A or B. So it was really killing me. I just still remember the experience. I'm getting PTSD when I think about it. So I haven't played that much with stuff lately. So I'm really jealous of you guys getting all these new tools. That looks really cool. Like the last time I used Meshi was like last year, I think. It was probably like a year ago. And you could not prompt it to give you something usable. It was really glitchy.
Like what I just
So
got
it's really
was
cool.
what I just got actually blew my mind from a prompt
Yeah.
about, and that wasn't
Yeah.
with an image. That was from a text prompt. There was no image
Yeah.
associated with that. It's
Yeah.
absolutely like the most incredible one. And I know that there is, for anybody who wasn't here for other things, there's a list over here behind me, and these are some recommendations for AIs, especially ones that are, there's some on there that are paid, but most of them are for free. And Benny from AI Art Today was here talking about different ones, and I do pay for Meshi, but there are ones that are for free available. But I asked Benny, I said, what AIs do you pay for? Because I think that's becoming like a really important thing for artists. It's like, which ones are worth it? And for me, I pay for Claude because it connects to Blender, Meshi, and Crea. So those are my top three. And he paid for Kyber, which shocked me. But he says that it's really good too. But he's more in the commercial kind of art world. He's not trying to misuse it as much, I think, as we are.
I don't know. For me, I'm still trying to kind of use whatever's free, right? So
Yeah.
try to figure out a way to use something that I don't have to pay for. I think that's like a secret goal, you know?
Yeah, well then you should look at his list over there, because yeah, if he's paying for it, it's either so good and he hasn't found an alternative to it, or it might be a smaller, what he calls a mom and pop software company that he just prefers to use rather than using something that's Mid-Journey size. So
Yeah, I really like these niche ones, the
Yeah.
smaller ones, especially if you're supporting somebody.
yeah, and I think also the ones, if you can find one, there's one called Pixio that we were talking about, and Pixio is also called like My Web Tutor, which is a terrible name, but the good thing about it was, is it Pixio? That's not the right one. I'm making sure I know which one it is. Yeah, AI Tutor. There you go. It has a weird name, but a lot of the mom and pop ones just do. Right, don't hold that against them. But this one is run by an artist. And an artist that also you can call on the phone and talk to. So if you ever have, you probably will have to pay for it, but just realize that there's an artist back there and it's like one person, which is always helpful.
I did buy a software for my thing. So for my installation, I needed to read the brain waves of the participants, and so I ended up buying a piece of software. It was $15 one time, but and he's like one person that did this amazing job. He did all the work for you basically, so you can just use creatively that piece of equipment, so I end up buying it because I mean it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Well, and also like I think I made an app. It's not finished yet, but I made a little bit of an add-on extension for Blender that makes it using the tools for drawing much more painterly. And I'm not finished with it yet, but it actually works, which is pretty amazing. So I think we're heading into a period where maybe it's not a. I mean, I'll say we'll probably always try to misuse things, because you know the history of artists trying to misuse stuff is pretty vast and long and successful. But maybe artists making their own apps is another idea, since making apps is becoming incredibly easy and very affordable. Blender is free, you know, so. Come on, people. I'm just going to start, asking people's names.
I was just checking out Pixio.
Yeah, I will say it's not maybe the most user-friendly. I think the way to use it, first of all, it has a million things. So it has LoRa's, which are really useful if you want to you want it to be trained on your own work so that it can mimic your own work. So I always think that one's really good. But if you want, you can reach out to this guy. His name is Ross. And that, I think, is you can always ask him what you can do and how to do it. And I think that's the biggest thing. I'm trying to see where I can find. Let me try to find his email, and I'll share it here.
Oh, thanks.
He also he comes to the AI Art Today space, and he doesn't come just to sell his app. He actually comes and just talks like a normal person, but he happens to have this thing that he's been building for a few years. Let me look for it. Ross Cohen, there he is. Found it.
Thanks.
Carolina, are you raising your hand or what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to share more?
I want to ask another question. If you, for example, when you start to use an app or a platform to create work, it's like you start with an idea, or like you start to like trying this app because you find it like that, like you like it, and then you have an idea. I don't know if I'm clear. Because I'm not really I'm not using much like AI apps, not much, and so because maybe like I don't have an idea for it, you know. So yeah,
I'm
I
trying
wanna
to
know
remember.
what is your.
I don't remember, like right now the biggest, so after Loop, I really didn't do much until like, I would say like a year ago. And then I started making new work on my own. But I will say though, I constantly like keep up with all the new technology. So
Yeah.
I think I had the idea of like recreating my own work using AI probably because of the AI, but no, I don't think so, because I've already been repeating my videos. Like there's certain artworks I always repeat, and I just thought the AI would make an interesting way to repeat it. So I think it's just it's like it's an available thing that you can use. That's all. But
It's like you are trying like kind of remix your previous work with new like different styles or apps. So you are trying different platforms to do that, right?
Well, I think one of them, and now I'm trying to find the actual thing. They have these upscalers now for video, and I think that's where I started getting interested because a lot of my old video art is in really poor condition because it was made with, you know, crappy cameras, and then I didn't take a good job taking care of the files because I was so young. So I started using the upscalers, the AI upscalers, which are much better than trying to upscale it any other way. But then those upscalers, you can actually toggle on to allow the AI to be creative or not. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that, but I do want to do that. I just want to make one version that's, you know, the old piece, and then I'll make a new version that's, I let the AI have some influence on it, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was just very interesting to see what would happen with, and then I started doing stuff like making custom Moras so that if the AI is going to make something, it will look more like my work. But it's just happy accidents. I mean, and then I started to make the piece I showed you with my mom in the studio. That's a piece I was making for my parents. So it's just like a straight up animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would just think of, it might be a new way of making animation that's less time consuming, boring, and like a little bit weirder. If you could make an animation using like a technique like basically working on an AI augmented canvas that you like constantly save. I haven't figured it out quite yet though, so. I just wanted to show you guys like in the process because I think that is kind of amazing. But
Yeah.
I do say that what the AI does to women is kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Like really shocking.
Yeah.
Especially all the bondage stuff in Korea.
No, I think a lot of that problem of what the AI shows you has to do with like what the sheer amount of work that's out there, sheer amount of imagery that's out there that depicts women
Yeah.
that way. And for the consumption, like created by men for the consumption of men. So you kind of see similar things happening whenever you type in like a culture, you know, like you say, for example, Chinese or Korean or something, or Turkish, you know, you start getting all these weird, these like stereotyped, strange, like caricatures.
Yeah. And what's also weird is you notice that like some of these, if you just say a woman, it usually gives you a white woman or an Asian woman. There's like two ways. White, sort of, you know, European descent, or a Asian woman, and usually they're very, very young. So if you put a woman, you're going to get someone like in their late teens, early 20s. If you put a particular age, like if you put 30, it'll give you a woman looking 40. So you always have to minus 10 years to get something that's close to what that age person. It always skews way older for women. So if you say I'm 50 years old, you'll look like, you know, 70 years old, or, you know, you look a lot older than what a real 50-year-old looks like.
Yeah, it has no idea that like women don't suddenly like become like senior citizens past 30.
You think it would make the 50-year-old woman look younger, maybe, you know, but it doesn't. As soon as it hears that number, it actually goes the opposite way. Which is fascinating, and I feel like it's something that, you know, as an artist, we could maybe point out. but I'm wondering if I need to do this underneath a pseudonym of another artist. Because I'm not, it doesn't fit any of my work, but I am still equally fascinated with. That's the whole thing with the creative writing thing. Is like, you know, and part of me just wants to make stuff, and you know, doesn't matter if it fits with my work at all. Who knows?
Yeah. It reminds me of that Tina Fey.
Yeah.
She has a line, and I can't remember the name of the show now, but
Unfuckable.
this woman. No, she says something like, okay, so she depicts one of the characters depicts a woman married to this guy, and she says, "Oh, darling, I would never do something so horrible to you like turning 40." It reminds me of that, where that's you know, like a lot of the media imagery that is created has no idea what a woman looks like when they're in their 30s and 40s, because all of those roles are played by people who are like much older, when in fact, like, you know, like 30 somethings actually play 20 somethings.
Yeah.
Like 90210, remember that show way back when the high school children were played by actors in their 30s. So, but then whenever you want to play a woman who's maybe in their 40s or 50s, you get a much older woman who is like 60s and 70s play those roles. Well, maybe not 70s, but like 60s. And so then the machine doesn't understand how reality actually works.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like also, like, I always want to wonder who is the audience for Kriya.ai that they're catering to. It can't all be men, or do you think it is all young men?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But there's a default assumption on the internet that whenever you engage in any kind of foreign conversation or thing, people will just straight up like assume you're a guy speaking.
What do the
right?
guys
like
think
I get
about
that
this?
a lot.
Yeah.
Like people often just tell me bro, you know, when they're writing. Like whenever I have an opinion about something that someone doesn't agree, the rebuttal will always start with bro.
I wonder what the men here think. Is that, do you I mean, it can't all be male artists. That's what I'm curious about. Like, who are these commercial AIs? They cost a lot of money, so who is this?
I wonder if it's just biased because of the stuff that gets off the internet, and a lot of that stuff is, you know,
Yeah.
it's what it sees. That's why it's biased, I guess.
Or the stuff is it's morphing as people are using it.
Yeah, I wonder if they retrain it back on the things that people create.
Okay. Well, does anybody else have any helpful things that they have discovered using new technology? AR, VR. What's the newest form, Dennis? 3D GLBs?
Yeah. Well, you know, depending on the use, like for Unity, you want one format. Like here, I see, you know, Online uses a different one. It depends. So you kind of have to be open to all of it. Well, you know, the biggest two differences is that if you create something to be physically 3D printed is one thing, and something that you're creating to use in 3D VR, that's another thing. Like two different things. One has measurements and needs to be precise and physical. Another one is you have more creative freedom to make things that maybe don't make sense in real world.
Well, which
there
one
was
is
one
which?
app for AR. There was something for AR that I used. So I built a model in Blender, and there's another one by Adobe. Let me see. It's called something. It's very simple to use. I started with it first before I got into Blender. Like if I open the model, let me see. Hold on a second. What can I tell you? It's called Adobe Dimension. Like I started with that, and then, but the cool part with that is that then it integrates with another app by Adobe that creates AR. So you can put your objects into any environment. Like you can go to the park and put your sculpture in the park to make it look like it's part of that environment.
You know that,
So I
that
found-
you can do that in the XR creator.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can. Let me show you. This is something that actually about the XR creator that people, I would say, is not as known as other things.
It's a newer thing, maybe, no? Because I don't think it.
Well, it's just like a little tiny hack. It's not the. I mean, I don't think this is going to. I think there's a lot of great AR software out there, but if you are someone who's using the XR creator, or I know some people here have studios and use it. So if you're already using it, there's like a little trick you can do, hopefully. I don't know if I'll be able to show it because in this context, but I can at least go to it. No, don't move mine. Don't move mine. Someone's moving it. Nope. Carolina, are you knocking my my screen over?
No, I'm not doing anything.
It's okay. We actually have a new lock function on the screens, so let me know if that's working. But, okay, so I'm gonna go over here to the XR. Well, one thing that's happening is, of course, let me just cheek and see. Let me just see if you can actually, yeah, see this. Hopefully my whole computer won't melt down while I'm doing this because I've got a lot of things open. So there's two ways of getting into the XR creator now. One is through this way, and then one is through loop. So you should go in the loop way, especially if you have a loop studio. And if you don't have a loop studio, that's just, there's people that, if you're a former looper, you can get a loop studio, and we charge you like $12 a month, which is not a lot. But I don't know why mine's not coming out. Let's see. I do have a lot of things open. This real-time Kriya thing will eat up a lot of stuff. So I probably have to close some of my apps. Okay. All right, I think it's just mad at me for having it open for days and days and days and days. Sign in. Okay, here we go. So this is the new way of signing in. So, but this is also the free way. So you can use it, but if you decide to use it, instead of doing the subscriptions here, do it through us, because otherwise you have to pay $25, and you don't have to do that. But okay, so I'm going to just get rid of, well, actually I'm going to go back. I'm going to start a new one, a new empty. And then when you do that, you upload, this is what the new one looks like. It's a little different from the way it used to be, but I have this one like character here. This is a GLB. And if you just upload this thing and then don't put anything else in here, and you go up to the top here, you can go down, and I'll try to find where exactly this is. There's presets for AR. Just gonna turn all those on. And then I'm gonna pick out this one and then go down here where it says AR while I'm selecting on this and say create. And it'll actually create this, and now it's in AR. So you can make this, export QR code. I think I have to do a few more things here. Select model, GLB. What else do I need to do? You can actually have animations that play at a hotspot, and I just need to find now how. Factor to factor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but download scene, download poster, deploying. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's not coming up, but that's where it is. It's right there, and it's probably just something that I haven't clicked onto, or maybe it's not included in this plan, which could definitely be it as well. But yeah, that's the way you use it. And then this is saved on web AR, so that means that you can you don't have to use an app or anything to upload it. To see it, it's just a QR code. Now, I don't know where the QR code is, but that's okay. And then you just press X, and it's right there. Might have to like turn something else off, I'm not sure. Create a model, and okay. But that's where it is. So if you have your own, you should be able to and I think all my computers are mad at me because I've been sharing all of this stuff for 2 days. Okay. Anyway, Dennis, we do have it.
That's cool. That's very nice. This must be a new feature. Yes, it's last time I checked.
It's very basic, and like I said, I just went through the commercial way, so that's not the way you should go in, but for some reason, I think my computer's not letting me log into Loop on this computer, the one I'm sharing from, so. But yeah, all my students used it. Very easy, very free, so.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's new, but there's a lot of different ones that are out. I know I've been using Snapchat. Snap has one. Lens Studio, it's free, and it's actually like a downloadable desktop application that's free, and you don't have to use it. You don't have to open AR using a Snapchat thing. You can actually export it to web AR so that you don't have to download, you don't have to open it up with an app. So, but if anyone wants to know more about that, let me know. I have like a whole bunch of lesson plans and things for Lens Studio, and I can share them with you.
That's cool. I think the QR codes are helpful that you can just scan, but I think if you don't have to download anything at all, that's even better,
Yes.
because that just eliminates the barrier from people using it.
Yeah. And like I said, Snapchat has a really powerful AR. Like you can do all sorts of stuff with it. You can trigger it all sorts of different ways. It plays animations. You can combine like 2D with 3D. I mean, really amazing things, and it's completely free. but it's
Well, they were one of the first ones to start using it. Remember with the doggy ears and all those things.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so they've created some really powerful stuff that they're just releasing for free. And it used to be, but there is actually, if you actually read the documentation, or if you feed the documentation into an AI and then ask it questions, you'll find out you don't have to. There's a way around it, which is not actually difficult. It's a really easy way. So there you go. So I guess that's kind of misusing software a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to head back unless anybody else wants to tell about how they're misusing software, and just hang out. And let me see if it'll let me look at the schedule. I don't think we have anything else until listening to music. We had a great discussion last night, so if anybody wants to hang out today, it was awesome. There was people hanging out until 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I was one of them. 4 in the morning.
I know. I was like,
but
what?
that was a great conversation. And actually, I read the article you mentioned, The Painted Protest
Yeah.
by Dean Kissick. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really gave it to them. He really gave it to the.
Well, somebody needs to say it.
Yeah.